Good evening, everyone. We welcome our Chief Guest, Honorable Mr. Justice Devendra Kumar Upadhyay ji, Chief Justice, Delhi High Court, and I request Mr. B.S. Dheer to please come to the stage and present the plan to the Honorable Chief Justice. We welcome our guest of honor, Honorable Mr. Justice Harish Vaidyanathan Shankar. I request our Joint Secretary, Mr. Kunal Malhotra, to please present a plan to the Honorable Guest. We also welcome Mr. Jatinder Chima, Advocate, our keynote speaker today. I request Ms. Vidhi Gupta to please present a plan to him. We welcome Mr. Devendra Singh, Advocate, our keynote speaker, and I request Mr. Lakshay Kaushik to please present a plan to him. Thank you, sir. On behalf of the Bar Association, it gives me immense pleasure. Ecological imbalance approaches that balance development, ecological integrity,
as officer as well. Our Vice President, our Honorary Secretary, Vikram. We all are here gathered today to address aspects of our life. Each one of us. Not only we need to breathe, we want other generations to come in and survive. There change it has on all species. And only one of them, unfortunately, is the most selfish. And most of till today is a result of what? We have destroyed our natural forests. We have incurred every that we can think of. So, to speak generally about all this, specificities will be dealt with by the domain experts. A little bit I will try and delve on a few aspects which I think may be able to help. We have something called the ozone layer. The ozone is a layer of protection which guards us from harmful ultraviolet. By using chlorofluorocarbons, refrigerators, ACs on the house, we have started depleting this ozone layer. There are huge holes now in the environment, up in the atmosphere, now lets in harmful ultraviolet radiation. It has resulted in global that the polar ice caps are melting. Those of you who have not visited New York, I would visit it soon. Because it won't be there. I'm going to Bombay on the list. Kerala is the place where I hail from. They say it's God's own land, we'll go back to God. Japan, I believe, is already negotiating with countries, including India, for that one. It is just Hongshu, Kaishu. They are saying that given these islands are there, would do. Forests. We have destroyed the food chain. To look at, it happens to sit on the apex of the food chain. this topic of study. He has 200 sightings. I have tried on so many occasions. Yet to cite one. So, my times. Having said that, he is also associated with the railways. Now, when we talk about the railways and we talk about roads, friendly, if I could say that, means of transport, because it occupies very little land. It transports probably of the energy what is consumed in relation to what you consume while traveling on roads. This is something which probably Devender will expand, because when now for the past 4 decades, every time it is either a talk on railways or it's a talk on wildlife, and they're either these two. So I'm sure we are going to be entertained by him. Jay, on the other hand, is going to speak on the larger perspective. He is going to speak on climatology. He is going to tell us how climate is different from what we think it is. He is going to talk about climate laws. There will be a little bit of law when even Devendra speaks. He will speak about the IUCN. The IUCN, an international body, which essentially today what we see as conservation for the tiger that has happened, because the number of tigers which was there at one point of time, you'll be surprised to know, the number of tigers which populated our forests was 80,000 is what I am told. Probably during various reasons. Today, those numbers to bring down when in 1972 and an act called the Conservation Act got passed. What thereafter from 1972 onwards and what Conservation Act is what my friend will. Interesting. Naturalist. Naturalist means a man who specialized, indulges in study of nature. Published in Nature. Sir, I recognize. I he invited and sent me 2 more photos. This particular. So we are today is going to be a very entertaining, and of course the chief as usual. And that looking forward to. Chief, I give it.
Today's function to please address us on this occasion. The Chief Justice, please, sir.
My colleague, this is Vaidyanathan, President of Mr. Hariharan, Mr. Pawar, Mr. Sachin Puri, distinguished speakers today, Mr. Devender Singh and Mr. Cheema, all others present here, a very good evening. Now, discussing environment is a very serious business. But before all of you sitting here indulge into some kind of serious discussion and listening topic by the speakers relating to environment. Research all along her. Uh, so I've been facing the environmental issues at my home for the past about 30 years, to the extent that I am not permitted to undertake an anti-termite treatment. Many of my books, law books, I mean, they got, you know what happens if you don't undertake the anti-termite treatment. If I have to put a simple mosquito repellent in my room, I'm not allowed to. But the concern pertaining to environment shows the extent to which our environment has deteriorated. You know, climate change is not a local issue, it is a global issue. Another moment, one of the richest countries in the world was accused of very heavy carbon emission. So as a afforestation, what that country did was that it proposed to trees in the jungles of Amazon. So here, afforestation, how is it going to sort out environment and climate change? I just wonder. And third one, of course, he will be shedding some legal aspects of the matter. Justice Vedana. It's actually very enthralling for me to note that Mr. Dev published a paper in the Nature. That's the standard so far as science is concerned. Research journal on the 20 is for nature. The journal will be. Am I correct, sir? So, I'm very sorry. I feel sorry for myself that I'll not be able to be present during the course of lecture, but I will find out some opportunity to these distinguished speakers. Of course, with Harish, I interact every day. And congratulate once again the Bar Association to have organized such a important topic. Now, we have a feeling that protection of environment is to be left to somebody else. So that's not the correct approach. It is our own safety, our survival. So extinction of one species in the environment create a kind of chain reaction. Ultimately, may pass the human beings as well. That is the kind of danger which the environmental situation has posed today globally. There are two distinguished speakers to speak on the subject today. Legal aspects, of course, will be covered by Justice Vaidyanathan, as I said. With these words, I once again congratulate your Bar Association to have organized such a lecture and look forward to meeting the distinguished speakers today at some other occasion. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. May I now request Justice Harish Vaidyanathan to please address us.
Jobs. So the way they look at things is, well, if you have more factories, if you have more kind of vocations which are in developed cities as such, that according to them is the definition of progress. Perhaps that needs a relook, that needs a rethink. We should look at ourselves. What do we want? Success? How do we determine who is successful? The person who's got the bigger car, the person who's got the latest iPhone, or the person who's got a lot of things which are ultimately nothing but the result of, an exploitation of the natural resources. We all love to buy gold, but then ultimately we forget that in order to mine that gold, the amount of natural degradation we've caused, it's phenomenal. So there's a lot of questions I think we all need to ask, and I'm sure the learned speakers over here will be able to provide them. So in conclusion, all I can say is I think it's about time we start thinking in terms of coexisting rather than trying to conquer. And these definitions that we have of progress, success, etc., which actually form the basic fundamental seed which germinates into further actions, we need to really take a look at it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. We welcome Justice Girish Katpalia. Thank you, sir. You have been a regular visitor to our lecture series. Thank you. Now I wish to invite Mr. Devinder Singh. And let me give a background of Mr. Devinder Singh, though our president has already given it. Mr. Singh is an advocate, otherwise by profession. He is a naturalist, environmentalist, photographer, and a passionate lover of nature. A former civil servant with over 35 years of service, he has spent decades observing and documenting the natural world. He now pursues wildlife photography as his full-time passion and captures the everyday beauty of nature and shares it widely through his network. Deeply rooted in Delhi's natural landscapes, he also mentors young enthusiasts, encouraging them to connect with and document nature in their daily surroundings. I welcome Mr. Devinder Singh. Sir, please come.
Which I have compiled over a period of time, they are self-explanatory. And I will request all of you that kindly be involved in it, and if you feel anything, you may interrupt and we can discuss that. Because the time is limited, and I will try to go through the subject in a manner that will interest you. Although any amount of time for environment is less. Human relationship with nature. Should I tell you one thing, that nature doesn't need us, we need nature. We have come last on this earth, and we have kicked out everybody from this earth, all other beings. That is our speciality. As per spirituality, we are the topmost creation of a super energy or God or Allah or Vaheguru, Bhagwan, but we have done destruction which is unparalleled. So there is a very, very intricate relationship with nature of humans. You can understand like this, that you have a house, some guest comes into your house, and after a few days you are kicked out and he is living there. This is what we have done to our fellow beings. So that nature of ours is really, really wide. I'll just give you some figures. We are 8 billion, which is equivalent to the number of bacteria in each one of us having in our gut. So we are very fortunate to be humans. We could have been bacteria lying in one of the guts of any human being. So we must respect that. We have discovered only 7 million species on Earth, but our scripture says that there are 8.4 million species. लाख 84 लाख जूनियों के बाद आपको ह्यूमन बर्थ मिला है. And even if you have spent a day in one of these species, you have come here after 8.4 lakh years. That is the significance of you and me. That is the significance of all of us and its relationship with nature. The total forest area of the world, on average, is 31. In India, it is only 21%. Earth came into being 4.5 billion years ago. And we are only, in a civilized manner, 2 lakh year old. And we have played havoc with Mother Earth. Do you know how many animals we are slaughtering in a day for so-called protein, food? It is 3.4 to 6.5 billion per day. That is the cost Earth is paying for our existence. This will not continue forever. This cannot continue forever. The catastrophe you will see in 21st century. And mind-boggling figure, 2,370 billion are massacred for our sake in a year. You imagine this number. Something happens to you, something happens to your family member. How do you feel? How the others are feeling? As somebody said, that if slaughterhouses were made of glass, everyone would be a vegetarian. And how many trees we are cutting in a year? This is a rough estimate. 15 billion trees. For nothing. For our greed. It cannot continue forever. And a tree, if I may tell you, it is one organism which is not asking anything from you. It is giving you oxygen, it is giving you fruit, it is giving you all sorts of things which you require in life. And only requiring that, please show some care for me. And do you know that we don't understand the language of our fellow beings? That is why we are so cruel. If you cut a tree, the normal frequency at which the sounds which are emanating from the tree is 20 kilohertz. But when you cut a tree, the sound levels reach 120 kilohertz to 140 kilohertz. It is screeching, crying. There is nobody to listen. There is nobody who is paying heed. And I can tell you that out of the 4 pillars of democracy, people have a lot of hope from black coats. Because rest has all over. It's not here, all over. So that is why I thought that I'll mention it to you, that all of us, all of you can play a very vital role in protecting something on which you are dependent. Everything is interdependent. I just made one slide. You will be surprised to know that the way we have conquered Earth. In 1804, we were only 1 billion. Now we are 8 billion in around 200 years, 220 years. And those 8 billions have got so much of ego, anger, arrogance, and so much of desire and aspiration that one earth is not sufficient. हजारों ख्वाहिशें ऐसी कि हर ख्वाहिश पे दम निकले. The kind of aspirations and desires we are harboring in our mind and heart, it will require at least 500 times you will have to be born again. It's not going to happen. But we are trying to make it happen. And that's exactly is the viewpoint, that we are destroying our mother only, nature, our fellow beings, for our own benefit. And in fact, we are digging our graves so fast and we are feeling very happy about it. That is the paradox. I'm just giving you these figures, you know. This is what is visible every day. Can you believe that in 1 year we are pumping 57 billion tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere? And if you keep on putting sugar in water, a time will come when the solvent and the solute, the solvent will not be able to take the sugar. Sugar will remain the same. So the limit has come that if you want to maintain 1.5 degree temperature rise, then only 1.3 gigatons can be accommodated in the atmosphere, not more than that. And out of 57 billion, Mother Earth, which includes trees, which includes ocean flora, can absorb only around 25 to 30 billion tons. Rest is all floating in the air. And what it is doing? There are floods, there are droughts, there are climatic changes, the wind pattern has changed, everything has changed. And we have only capacity left for 1300 billion tons to go to atmosphere. So things are not very, very good. And our desires have got no limit now. We are multiplying like anything, and our desires are absolutely ransacking the entire Mother Earth. The model is not going to sustain for long. I'm just giving you these figures. It is said there are no free lunches in life. It's a very popular figure. Nature is giving you oxygen free. water almost free, sunlight free, nature itself is free, the trees are free for you. We all know what happened in COVID. We were struggling for a bit of oxygen. What happened? We could not arrange oxygen for few people. Mother Earth is giving it to all of us and to all the fellow beings, free of cost. And we have no regard for anything which is free of cost. Can I ask you one thing, that how much oxygen do you inhale in a day? Any guess? Each person, each one of us, our family, whom we are so attached, 550 liters of oxygen you consume in one day. Now, 4 family members, 6 family members, 3,000 to 3,500 liters per day. Have you given a single liter back to Mother Earth? We are, and who are giving this oxygen free of cost? Trees, oceanic flora, which we are cutting left, right and center. All your houses, all your positions, all your status, all your money will vanish in 2.5 minutes.
The Honorable Chief Justice is to leave. Thank you, sir, for taking out time from your busy schedule. Thank you, sir. Sir has to attend another function in Rouse Avenue Court, sir.
Whatever you are accumulating, it will vanish in 2.5 minutes if oxygen was not there. Everything will be here. Nothing will be there with you, which you are, without giving a thought to it, are accumulating. Have a sense. It's only 2.5 minute game. And if I ask you that what was the name of your grandfather's grandfather, 90% will not know. किसके लिए भाई? It's only 100-year-old story, nothing more. It's all in your mind. This accumulation which is beyond this thing. And you are destroying your other fellow beings, and in fact you are destroying your own generation. The children who are so dear to you, the family who is so dear to you, we will be, next 2 decades are going to be very, very crucial for all of us, in whatever profession you are. This is a stark reality which is staring us in our faces, and we are not aware of it. If we are aware of it, because it is not WhatsApp, immediate result is not available, because the result and the effect is seen after some time. That is why we are not bothered. You can see what is happening outside. I just came back from Dehradun. The AQI outside Delhi was 1900, 1400, and inside the car was 700, with AC and all thing full blast going on. Because the monitors are not there outside, we do not know what is happening. Every house, every village was lighting the garbage dump. And microplastic and nanoplastics were going in the air, which we are breathing, which are initiators of carcinogenic activity in our bodies. So whatever you are breathing, I am breathing, is absolute poison. And we have created this poison. So we will have to do the remedial actions. As I said, that we must be paying EMI, because nothing we understand which is not money. EMI for house, for a car, for a laptop, for education. Do you know how much EMI on each one of you and me is there? Because 550 liters I am consuming, giving back nothing. If you convert it to money, we are already down with 150 crore. That is the EMI on your head, which we are not bothered, because it is coming free of cost. 150 crore, conservative estimate. And suppose, with our nature of destroying everything around, we cut all the trees, theoretically, we cut all the trees, we cut all the flora of ocean. The oxygen which can be manufactured by us for 6 months, can you guess what will be the cost of that oxygen? Any guess? If we theoretically cut like we are cutting all the trees and entire oceanic flora is destroyed, how much would be the cost of manufacturing the oxygen for 6 months consumption of this world? Any guess, anybody please? In monetary terms, because we only understand money.
Unlimited.
The cost is around $800 trillion only for 6 months of oxygen to be produced by us. Our economy at present is 3.5 trillion. America's is 30. China is 19 trillion. For 6 months of oxygen, you would require $800 trillion. That is the amount of destruction and digging of grave we are doing it for ourselves. I'm just throwing these figures just to tell you that it is something very illogical that all the time, दिन में अगर 48 घंटे हो तो भी हम उस 48 घंटे में भी अपने बारे में ही सोचते रहेंगे. We have no regard for anybody. Selfish to the core. This was a bigger picture and serious picture. But I'll come down now to various things. I'll just, because I told you that it is a topic where one can interact for a very long time. I'll just give you glimpses of what nature is all about and what we can do and how we can do. We have made efforts. These are all figures that we have made in national parks and this thing. And now we come to micros. What are our habits? This is barn owl. Do you know on Dashera and Diwali day, barn owls and owls are caught, and in spirituality, in our mythological stories, it is said that when Lakshmi ji descended on earth, it was dark, so the owl took her to the various places she wanted to go. So owl is considered Lakshmi ji ka vahan. So on Dashera and Diwali days, you will not believe it, this animal is caught, put in puja, his neck is cut, split halfway, and the blood keeps on dripping, and that tantrik keeps on saying mantras. So, I'm very, whether it is okay to all the classes which are well off, politicians, bureaucrats, policemen, businessmen, influential people, they do it at their houses. And why? Because Tantric has told them that because Lakshmi ji now will remain with you, because his Vahan has been taken care of with mantras, God will ensure that the wealth which we have created will remain with you. See the red tika on his face, about to be slaughtered. Show you that this is what is happening. On Dashera day, there is a bird called Indian roller, which is a state bird of Andhra Pradesh. It's blue in color. And why? That when Ramchandra ji went on this bird, so they were victorious. And it brought luck. This is clipped and put in goris, and the darshan happens. Golden jackal, my friend Hari was saying, the head he is beheaded, and it is called siyarsiri, that when you keep that portion in your house, you will have lot of wealth, lot of fame. Everybody will be, after you. You will become the Prime Minister of the universe. That is what you are told. I will tell you, my friends, my known, have asked me, can you arrange tiger skin? I want to meditate sitting on that. One has asked that, can you give me the claw of the tiger? Why? Because my daughter had 3 miscarriages. So Tantric has said that this claw will stop the miscarriage. Another friend has got 25 years IBS, that Ball syndrome. He is so pathetically roaming here and there, allopathy, Ayurvedic, homeopathy. He says now Tantric has said कि 2 उल्लू लगेंगे. मैंने कहा यार मैं बहुत तेज थप्पड़ मारूंगा, बता रहा हूँ. This is I'm talking about that what I have been asked about. This is happening around you. It is very essential to make everyone aware that we are the deadliest animal on this earth. Mahatma Gandhi said in 1947 that there will be more wildlife in cities, and he was so right. There is nothing like you and me wilder than us. What we call wildlife is special life. The only wildlife on this earth is Homo sapiens sapiens. And see the wonderful phenomena. I'm just giving you, just taking you to different facets of nature. This is called a special life, special relationship. Cuckoo doesn't lay eggs in his own nest. She doesn't know how to make nest. So she puts his or her eggs in other birds' eggs, in nests. And is and knows mathematics. Meaning, suppose there is a crow, there is a other bird, and if there are 4 eggs, and she has to lay 2 eggs, so 2 eggs of crow will be thrown away. So that crow can't count. The number will remain the 4. And he will rear it as his own. So this figure, I clicked it 1 month ago. And it is called brood parasitism. That cuckoo lays eggs in the nests of the other birds, and they rear it their own. Here, jungle babbler, it is called 7 sisters, is feeding the young ones of crested cuckoo or Jacobin cuckoo chicks, thinking that these are my kids, my chicks. They are also demanding food as if she is her parent, which is not. And she is also feeding, thinking that they are my chicks. So, And this Jacobin cuckoo is also called harbinger of monsoon. When it starts from Africa, it moves ahead of the monsoon. If you see Jacobin cuckoo in June, you can be assured it's called also papiya, जो हिंदी के गानों में आपको सुनाई देता होगा, तो कि ये बारिश का पानी सिर्फ ऊपर से पीता है. तो if you see Jacobin cuckoo, that means monsoon is not far. So I'm just trying to give you these examples that why and how the nature is displaying how you can coexist as Justice Harish was saying. We are interdependent. We are interrelated. We are interconnected. We are going to swim together and sink together. No one is going to swim alone or sink alone. Please be sure. There were 1,50,000 just 100 years ago. When we started killing them with guns and this thing, showing our देखो मैं क्या कुछ कर सकता हूँ. The apex predator, the greatest gene pool which nature could ever produce. Panther tigris tigers. There are live examples in Sariska. Due to Mr. Sansar Chand, he killed 28 tigers. The entire population was wiped out. The deers started, all consumed all the grass inside Sariska, and they started going out, and they finished every crop. Then the tigers were reintroduced, and now there are more than 50. So what apex predator can do, which is a live example. It's just a photographic tour for you. I'll just have a few words about each one. Kindly, you must be tasting tea, coffee, liquor, food, pizza. Kindly taste nature. Kindly taste silence. Happiness will follow. As Rumi said, silence is the language of God. Rest all is poor translation. Just immerse yourself sometimes in nature and rediscover yourself. We are made of 50 trillion cells. God knows how much is left. 2/3 is already over, or maybe tomorrow. But we are thinking that I'm immortal. That's why I'm continuing with my activities without any regard for anyone. Just that nature can be beautiful. This is Corbett. Go for forest bathing. This is Panna Tiger Reserve, just 2 days ago. Cubs and the mother. Corbett. Even the kings and the queens have to work very hard to get food. There is nothing free in this world. She waited for 2 hours and had a chase with the deer and could not catch. So 10 attempts, and then she is able to, or the tiger is able to catch the prey. Self-explanatory. Kindly let live. Live and let live. They are all important to us. We were sitting and we thought that maybe the tiger comes. And our wish came true. Within 2.5 minutes, the tiger has appeared. And the shadow which you see is my and my son's shadow was falling on the tiger. So these are moments of joy which we are looking in all. We are all looking for joyful moments. Satisfaction, contentment, happiness, which we have thought that money gives. Kindly explore, talk to yourself at least 20 minutes a day. Make a balance sheet like you make your balance sheet of your profession. Where am I going? What gives me happiness? And I can assure you that when you connect with nature, you will be the happiest without a reason. You were waiting for the tiger. It is called peacock pansy butterfly. The lifespan is only 4 weeks to 5 weeks. It has to do laying of eggs, mating, next generation, taking minerals, and vanish. And do you know that British soldiers, they were lying all over the world, and they started naming butterflies in a very funny way. The name of the butterflies are common duffer, sergeant, constable, dull bahul blue. Bahul was a knocker or maybe a servant, so they were dull, so they named that butterfly like that. So it is a world around, just look around. There is so much to see. Himalayan blue tail. And I wanted to show this picture to you. It is the fastest living animal on the planet. It is called peregrine falcon. The control speed is 310 kilometers per hour, and in controlled conditions it has achieved 370 kilometers per hour. It's the fastest living animal and is endangered because of our activity. Kingfisher. This is the picture of vertical flycatcher. If you see it, you will fall in love with this bird, and it is in Delhi, Gujarat Park. We were alone. She was alone in Durga Devi in Corbett. The feeling I cannot describe. Then she hid herself. We were searching for it, and then she just lifted her head and looked at me. Paradise on earth. This is Haldu Padao. And the way she picked up the dust, can you see a gorilla face at the end of the dust? Justice Vivek Sharma took this picture and put it on the calendar of Uttarakhand High Court. And it is an internationally acclaimed picture. It's a very rare phenomenon. These are bee eaters. Just look at the vibrancy of nature, what is there. They only eat the same little things. They don't want much. And what colors they are produced. Blue-tailed bee eater. Tuskers. One beautiful evening. And this is when the tiger winked at me. This is the king which we winked at me. And then the tigress also winked at me. And then, this is a tiger train. And this is life. You never know what is there on the other side. With twists and turns and complex and complicated but beautiful. The conversation going on. दिल ढूंढता है फिर वही फुर्सत के रात दिन. Sarista. And this picture is also internationally acclaimed. The two are going together and two are trying to impress. So I have put it as a labyrinth of relationship. You like someone likes someone else is trying to impress you. So this is that picture. Cooperation helps. And this is mad tiger chasing. The food of the tiger. and from your busy schedules, kindly look up sometimes. This is celestial poetry which comes every 28. This I clicked on this Purnamasi, the full moon in Delhi, despite the pollution. चांद तन्हा है, आसमान तन्हा, दिल मिला है कहाँ कहाँ तन्हा. कभी आप परेशान हो, जरा सा ऊपर देखिए. 100 बिलियन स्टार्स हैं हमारी गैलेक्सी में, सन जैसे, और 100 बिलियन गैलेक्सीज हैं मिल्की वे जैसे, जो हमें पता है. तो आपकी प्रॉब्लम, मेरी ईगो, मेरा एरोगेंस, मेरी एंगर इज वेरी insignificant in the scheme of things. Be childlike. These are taking mineral from the soil so that it can be passed on to. And that's my wife with the birds came on Saturday. This is Barasinga, this is Kana, this is Ranthambore. One of the most beautiful places, Dudhwa. And when the tiger comes through, this is our railway line going through Dudhwa. Uncertain future, he is walking, God knows. Only 3,500 left in the wild, although there are 10,000 domesticated all over the world. And out of 70-80% are in India.
I thought I'd interrupt you. You have shown us so many stripes. Are all these stripes the same on this animal or are they different?
No, they're different. I fortunately had 191 sighting just 10 days ago. So it is something which is very, very special for me. And every sighting is a miracle. Because we are 200 crores, they are only 3,500. It's very difficult to see a tiger. To kill a tiger, how can anyone kill a tiger, means it's beyond me. And the total value is 10 lakhs. As I told you, from claw to teeth to for aphrodisiac purposes, for meat. I know politicians in whose fridge the meat is lying. Then
The question maybe was that does the stripe on tiger, is it the same on every tiger or is it different at the fingerprint?
different,
On every tiger?
yes, like fingerprints. Yeah. They also yawn like us. So this is one movement. They are also sometimes tired the whole night business they do. Brown fish out. As I have taken a lot of time, I'll just rush through. This is the female of the house inspecting the, it is grey hornbill, inspecting the house before starting a family. She has inspected. Now she goes inside for 4 months. The male, the husband, they are monogamous, has 75 to 100 tricks to feed her inside. Because she is going to lay eggs and real one, the young ones will come out. This was a picture, the video is there, I means whether it will work or not, I don't know. Then this was written in Cobbett. This is what happens to your gypsy sometimes. This is man-animal conflict. This is in Delhi. Blue Lagoon. Go to a Sola Wildlife Sanctuary and spend some time. You will feel rejuvenated. It is not the road. It is that he is coming onto the road. We have made a road in his habitat. Delhi can produce tulips 4-5 years back. It is a great effort by Delhi government, by the horticulture department. Anything is possible. I want to emphasize, anything is possible. This is mud puddling. They are taking minerals to pass on to next generation. These are all around you. This is man-made beauty, I thought. And this is a habitat which was destroyed by our great civil engineers, and they put this. I literally tell them कि प्रभु पर आपके चरणों में गिरना चाहता हूँ मैं. क्या बात है. This is we give it to nature. Not a single spot in entire journey in which I have undertaken in India where there is no liquor or gutka or this thing. This is what we are giving to nature. Look at the beautiful thing which we are giving. Then why to protect environment? We are not fighting global warming. We are not fighting climate change. We are not fighting disturbed climate patterns. We are fighting destruction of natural habitat. And we are fighting against apathy, greed and selfishness. That is what we are fighting. If these are tackled, everything will be tackled. Because why we need it? You owe it to your next generation. If you see the face of your child, your friend, your family member, ask yourself, am I doing enough for him or her? For our benefit, for the benefit of our future generations. Choice is ours. Nature is watching us very closely. It will collapse one day, all of a sudden. And something to ponder. Only when the last tree has died and the last river has been poisoned and the last fish caught will we realize we cannot eat money. And in the end, कौन कहता है कि आसमान में सुराख नहीं हो सकता? एक पत्थर तो तबीयत से उछालो यार. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I now invite our next speaker, Mr. Jatinder Chima. Mr. Jatinder Chima is an advocate with over 34 years experience at the bar and also qualified as a barrister and solicitor in Ontario, Canada. Apart from his professional engagements, he is a visiting faculty at various prestigious institutions where he has delivered lectures on recent developments in energy, infrastructure, law and corporate laws. He is the author of book titled Climate Change, the Policy, Law and Practice, and also assisted the Supreme Court of India as a amicus curiae in case pertaining to carbon emissions. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Justice Vaidyanathan, our President of the Delhi Bar Association, Senior Advocate Hariharan, my learned colleague Sachin Puri, the Vice President, Vikram Pamwar, the Secretary, my learned co-speaker, who has enthralled us with all the photographs this evening, respected Justice Katpalia, seniors, my dear friends, I don't intend to take much time. I promise you I'll finish in 21 minutes because what I'm going to do over the next 20 minutes is essentially lay what is happening around us, what we have to be conscious about, and what is that is expected of us as far as the next generation is concerned. So, as Justice Vaidyanathan was saying, I'm going to lay three very disparate situations in front of you. This morning, I looked at Delhi's AQI, and it was between 585 to 696, which said it was hazardous. I then looked at London's AQI, which was similar to Delhi's AQI some 10 years back, and it was 38 to 55, which said good air. I looked at Beijing's AQI. So remember in 2013, Beijing was in same situation as us. It was this morning, and they termed it as very unhealthy. Okay. If this gives you any joy, Mumbai was not behind us. Okay. They were very, very. And I'll show you the next slide. I will allude to show you what. Just go back to. No, this is not my presentation. Just go back to my presentation. Just close this. Yeah. How do we go to this one? Okay. So if you look at real-time AQI in Mumbai today, you look at this astounding number of 762. And if you look at the small sort of map, the 762 pop 153, 129, and I called at IIT Powai to find out why was it showing 762 this morning. And apparently the model faulty. Okay. And there's a reason why I mentioned this to you today, because there are 40 in Delhi, and apparently half of them are functional in terms of what monitoring and what numbers it throws up every morning in terms of AQI as to the data that is available to you. About science, it is not about conjectures or science, it's pure science. Numbers speak. If you see the front Times today, page 4 of Hindustan Times today and page 6 of Hindustan Times today, all these pages cover AQI, what government is doing in terms of, BS4 vehicles, what reprimands have been given to CAQM, how they should relook at the reports to the Supreme Court of India in the MC matter. What most of you must have missed is page 12 of Hindustan Times today. What does page 12 of Hindustan Times say? Page 12 of Hindustan Times, India's coal. Show you later on how these greenhouse gas emissions are happening. Fuel, which produces greenhouse gas emissions, it is going to till 2030, 3% rise every year, whereas the world demand of coal is coming down. International Energy Coal report adhere to, there is a decrease of 503 million and 106 million tons. These are numbers from United States, and so are coming down, whereas our numbers will be going up, while the front page, page 4 and page 6 provide us a very different picture. Then I'm going to talk about Rag Mel Malhar. So what is Rag Megha? It talks about clouds. What is Malhar? It talks about the torrential rain. Okay. So who I believed, it was also called Mia Ka Malhar, was at the court of Emperor Akbar from 1556 to 1605. And this was a rain summoning raga, okay, which he used to sing, and the torrential rain would pour, okay. You must all recollect that on October of 2025, we tried cloud seeding, okay, and we were miserably failed in that, okay. So that begs the question, why did we miserably fail if all was in place? We failed because it needs certain amount of humidity in air. So this is all correlated. Climate is not just about air, it's about forest, it's about habitat, it's about a whole lot of other things which I'll take you through. Beijing was very successful in 2013 in bringing cloud seeding because it's very close to a coastal region. It's very close to the sea and the oceans. Now, this needs a cleaner Yamuna. This also needs water in Yamuna. If we need this kind of cloud seeding in Delhi, we have 1040. This is statistics I'm giving from Delhi Parks and Garden Society number. 100 official water bodies in Delhi. Take a guess how many of these water bodies are really existing or are functional. Take a guess. 75% of these water bodies are either taken over by the land mafia, closed, dried, so we don't have any water bodies. So where will the air come in terms of creating humidity to success? These are my three propositions in terms of starting this presentation. Now, if I take you to number 2, yeah. Okay. So, what I want to say is the constitutional courts in our country have a lot of times in the past they have done very well in terms of and bringing equality between fellow citizens. Land movement through constitutionalism. Economic redistribution of our assets was another sort of great constitutional moment for us. I think the present challenge for the constitutional law is to protect the ecological collapse. And I think spoke about M.K. Ranjit saying the great bastard case, and I'm going to allude to it, but I'll recommend to all my young friends here that you must go through this judgment, because this is a judgment which fundamentally lays for the first time by reading in the adverse effects of climate change as a constitutional right under Article 21 of the Constitution. And so I'll leave it at that. Let me come to the next slide. So we have all learned this in grade 6, that the sun's rays come on Earth and they reflect back into the atmosphere. So what is making Earth warm, and what is happening in our atmosphere? See, so you see at the bottom all the ingredients that are there which causes greenhouse CO2 emissions, or methane emissions, or nitrous oxide emissions. Now, when this sort of is up in the air, and when the sunlight has to reflect back into the cosmos, it is getting trapped, and so because it is getting trapped, so it is getting warmer day by day. Therefore, deterioration of our glaciers, therefore deterioration of our habitat. I think the biggest concern to us Indians, we are an agrarian economy. We should be worried about our field workers and our agriculturists, because once this temperature rises to an extreme level, we will start witnessing climate change events in our own country, which will not be of economically sort of very, very desperate it would make us. So therefore, we have to be cautious. So what is climate change? Okay. What we are witnessing in terms of today's headline in the Hindustan Times is essentially the effects which have occurred after a systematic change of human activity, which has led to heating of the atmosphere, and therefore that period of 20, 30 years that it has taken to change the climate system is what climate change is all about. And this is what is causing the constitutional crisis for us. I will move very quickly to the next slide. So Article 21 and environmental protection is very sort of distinctly provided in our constitution. In early years, the environmental law in India was treated as an administrative matter, a question of licenses, permissions, and executive discretion. Article 48A places a duty on the state to protect environment for forests, environment, forests, and wildlife. And Article 51AG places a duty on every citizen to safeguard natural world. Are not ornamental. They reflected constitutional foresight that environmental protection would one day become a matter of survival. Article 21 is the ecological core of this. So over time, Article 21 absorbed environmental protection not through judicial activism, but through constitutional realism. In Subhash Kumar versus State of Bihar, the Supreme Court held the right to life includes the right to enjoyment of pollution-free water and air. This was not an expansion of Article 21, it was recognition of its ecological core. Let me go on to the next slide, which is, so foundational principles are what are laid here in this slide. In terms of right to life, which is right to health, right to adequate standard of living, right to privacy and family and home, human rights impact, and therefore climate justice is inseparable from the protection of fundamental human rights. So if you look at most case law that is emerging in climate change space in Europe and United States, it is linked to the human rights conventions or laws in those countries. And so has the Indian Supreme Court read in the same way in the Great Bustard case in April of last year. Next slide. I think a big sort of move has happened globally on this subject. On 23rd of July this year, the International Court of Justice has come out with an advisory opinion on obligations, states' obligations on the adverse effects of climate change. What are the obligations? This was an opinion sought in 2023, and in 2025, this opinion has been given. What are the core fundamental principles which have been enshrined in this opinion is what I'm going to take you through into the next slide. So sustainable development. So now these are now legally binding principles which are applicable to all member states in the world. Sustainable development, which means to reconcile economic development with protection of environment. CBDR and RC, which is common responsibility, differentiated capacity, and respective capability. It is the manifestation of principle of equity. Now let me explain you what it means. It means, if you look at from 1850 to 2021, you know how much of carbon budget that India has consumed? It has consumed less than 5% of the carbon budget of the total. Who has consumed the maximum? United States, European Union, and China. So there has been debate since the Paris Agreement that those countries which have historically emitted, okay, have eaten away, the glass was full, they have taken away 75% of that glass. And what my friend Devinder was also trying to explain. 75% of the glass is already full, now 25% is left. So now what we are saying is that we will do this because we also have to do development. You have reached development, but we have not reached that development level. So we need to exhaust this and you need to slow down. So this is what it means: common responsibility, differentiated capability, and respective capacity. Next is equity. Reaffirm that equity as a legal concept is a direct emanation of an idea of justice, and hence the general principle directly applicable law. So if you read this advisory opinion, these 7 principles are today what court has said is applicable law in terms of climate change law across the globe. Intergenerational equity, manifestation of equity and shares, which is what is essentially the public trust doctrine in India. You know, what our courts have enunciated as public trust doctrine is what is intergenerational equity. Precautionary principle. Also, it has talked about science at large. When the advisory opinion had to be written, the judges of the ICJ called the IPCC, which is the scientific body which does work in climate change space. Both before writing the opinion as well as post-writing of their draft, they actually called the IPCC to consult them. What is the science about it? So therefore, when I started this presentation, I said climate change is all about science. You raise a matter before the Delhi High Court on a climate change matter, you must produce scientific evidence before the court to convince the court that a shift has happened. A right has been violated, the constitution has been violated, or the fundamental rights have been violated. So therefore, it becomes very, very important that science forms the firmament of any petition that you file before the court. The polluters principle. Now the court described at length and including looked at Indian judgments on the subject and said this is not an applicable law because this talks about absolute liability and mostly used when private parties are involved. Therefore, while we recognize the polluter principle, it will not be applicable law as far as this advisory opinion of the ICJ is concerned. And finally, a duty to cooperate. So it has said that it's not because climate change is a transboundary issue. Therefore, it cannot be that I keep putting afforestation and my neighbor keeps polluting and keeps sending me greenhouse gas, GHG emissions per se. So therefore, it has said the duty is to cooperate between 2 countries. Now, how do we manifest these principles into our jurisprudence, the state jurisprudence? The jurisprudence, how we present this before the courts in Delhi or for Bombay High Court or for any other court, and maybe Supreme Court of this country. So these principles are principles that we use, and along with these principles comes the scientific evidence, and that's what will form the basis of a petition that you may file before a court. I have assisted the Supreme Court in this matter, which you see the citation here, Ridhima Pandey matter, where court has now, based on our written submissions, formed, sort of implemented 7 ministries of the Government of India, including the Department of Science and Technology, that came out of our submissions before that court, and said that, you know, you need to sort of work together to make sure that we are able to overcome. This 17-year-old girl, Ridhima Pandey from Uttarakhand, sir would know, and it's from Uttarakhand. This girl had filed, and originally this matter was before NGT. It was thrown out at NGT on the point that this is a policy issue, but now it's before the Honorable Supreme Court and it's being litigated there. So, again, issue of intergenerational equity, that my rights are violated, the government is not doing enough in this space. Therefore, my rights should be protected, and a mandamus to the government that it must do more in the climate change, climate space. So hence, this is what is live matter right now before the Honorable Supreme Court. My friend Devender has produced so much about flora, fauna, habitat. There is only 2 finite things which can take care of carbon emissions. Okay. What are these 2 finite things? Forests. Number 2, oceans. These are 2 carbon sinks that nature has given us to overcome what we are going through right now. So therefore, what we need to do, so this is like an X versus Y. So this is fixed. We have carbon sinks in forms of forests. We have carbon sinks in terms of oceans. Therefore, any matter which comes to the court essentially has to protect both of these carbon sinks because they are very, very precious to overcome and balance the other aspect, which is the carbon emissions that are happening in this space. I promise you I will finish in 21 minutes, and I'm inching very close to that. Justice Vishwanathan, the Honorable Judge Supreme Court of India, recently has talked about, since there is not enough jurisprudence in the climate change space, to look at jurisprudence in the international sphere. There is a lot of litigation in this space for the past 15 years, which has happened in the European Union space. There's a lot of litigation in United States. There's a lot of litigation in Norway. There's a lot of litigation in Japan, Australia, in other jurisdictions. So he has urged that we as litigators, we as lawyers and courts must look at some of this jurisprudence that is emerging from those jurisdictions. So I leave it at that. These are some of the judgments. I won't go through the ratio of some of these judgments, but these are some of the key global cases that have been litigated and principles have been enunciated. So, what do professionals do in this space? Okay, and what can professionals do in this space, and what should professionals do in this space? I titled it as Politics and Law in 2025. Now let me tell you something. You know, we often in the newspapers, every morning hear, oh, Parali burning in Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, okay? Do you know when you apportion the emissions year round on Delhi NCR? So let me take example of Delhi NCR. You know how much Parali contributes and also for which period? Parali contributes, and this is part of my written submissions to Honorable Supreme Court in the Ridhma Pandey case. 3% of the total. So we talk a lot about the 3%. We don't talk about 30% is what the tailpipe emissions from cars and vehicles comes out. 30% comes PM 2.5 and PM 2.10, 10.1 comes from dust, you know, construction dust. We don't talk about that. What do we badger? We badger the farmer. We talk about Parali, okay, which is only constitutes 3%. So this is politics. This came out of IIT Kanpur study that actually the total composite is only 3% out of the 100, you know. So that's the politics about it. But we have had COP30 recently in Brazil, and as Justice Vedhanathan was saying, disappointing. They actually cut part of the Amazon forest to make way into the forest to make the venue for COP30. Imagine what kind of COP this would have been. And lo and behold, it hasn't achieved much, you know, in terms of results. I'll move on to the next. I think let me skip this. Let me come to this slide. Because this is what we talk about in terms of the topic of it. And what I term, and I would at some point, if I get the opportunity to argue before the court, the grandchild test, which the court must establish now. That what are we going to do for future generations is what this test is all about. Okay? This is something which we need to do for our future. Okay. So purpose is to ensure current actions safeguard future generations. As a matter of fact, Section 3 of the Future Generations Wales Act of 2015 already has the grandchild effect doctrine enshrined in that each public body must carry out sustainable development, setting and publishing well-being objective designed to maximize its contribution to achieving each of the well-being goals and taking all reasonable steps to meet those objectives. I think these are principles that are part of this Wales Act, and I think for for those who are not aware of this, you may want to look at 2015 Act. The 8 key principles, we already have looked at it in slide 8, and the scope 1 or 2, 3 emissions, sort of scope 1 emissions are direct emissions. When you have a coal-fired thermal power plant, that's a direct emission. Now, there are great proponents of people who say, come on, EV. Okay, I am not a great sort of fan of EVs. You see, EV is a successful model for our country. If the electricity that feeds that EV is produced green, if it is by burning coal, then I don't think you are actually doing the justice. You're just taking care of only small part of it. You're not probably taking care of the full part of it. So any tailpipe emissions, as I said, 30% of what it constitutes in terms of emissions in Delhi are actually the type 2 emissions. And type 3 emissions are those which come out of upstream and downstream. I have been an energy lawyer for 30 years. I can tell you the fossil fuel upstream, midstream, downstream produces a lot. There's a lot of human activity which causes long-term ecological impacts per se. Let me skip this. This is just quickly, if you can have a look at it. I think we'll skip all this, and I'll come to the conclusion. So every generation counts as a moment when law is tested not by the complexity, but by the courage. Climate change presents such a moment. The question history will ask is not technical. It is profoundly simple. Did we act when we still had time? Climate justice is not activism. It is not ideology. It is not a policy preference. It is about constitutional survival. Let history record that when the constitutional moment arrived, we chose foresight over fear, law over lethargy, justice over convenience. That we did not look away, that we did not delay, and that we acted. And last but not the least, this comes from the preface of my book, and I'm just going to read 2 lines from there and I'll conclude. And it says, the climate will not change unless we change, and change swiftly. Climate and its well-being is also sacrosanct, as creation must prevail in all its glory. So we must ask each other, what can we do? What do we do in this situation? All I can do for you is work on myself. And all you can do for me is work on yourself. That's essentially the core of this climate change debate in terms of what we need to do. It all comes to individual responsibility. And somebody, a very senior IS officer at the release of my book last year, quoted a Urdu poet, and I love those lines, and I'm going to quote those lines for all of you this evening. शोर यूं ही नहीं परिंदों ने मचाया होगा, शोर यूं ही ना परिंदों ने मचाया होगा, कोई जंगल की तरफ शहर से आया होगा. शोर यूं ही ना परिंदों ने मचाया होगा, कोई जंगल की तरफ शहर से आया होगा. पेड़ के काटने वालों को ये मालूम तो था, जिस्म जल जाएंगे जब सर पे ना साया होगा. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for sharing the jurisprudence and the statistics behind today's topic. Now I may invite Mr. Dhir to please give the vote of thanks.
On behalf of the Executive Committee, Delhi High Court Bar Association, I would like to thank Honorable Justice Harish Vaidyanathan, Shri Jitendra Chima, and Shri Devendra Singh for sharing their wonderful thoughts on this, today's subject with fact, figure, and case laws. It was indeed a very interactive session and an informative one. I think it is going to be boom for everyone, and we have learned a lot today. Thank you very much, sir. My thanks to Honorable Justice Girish Katpalia, my esteemed seniors, fellow colleagues who took out time to be here to make this fourth lecture of the lecture series a grand success. Keep blessing us, and I'm sure we are going to do much better in future to come. Now, without taking much of the time, I request you all to join us for high tea on the 7th floor. Thank you so very much.